Hey, it's the Redeye stream number 189. Let's talk about Portland. Okay, son of a bitch. The mayor of Portland is a fucking asshat who doesn't know what he's talking about. He likes to support Antifa of all fucking things and Black Lives Matter as they rip apart his own city. He ordered the cops to stand down and allowed Antifa to beat the shit out of a bunch of people. What the hell's going on in Portland, MC? Seriously? Do we need to just burn the city down and start over?
That's what you need to do with freaking liberals in general, don't you? I've made the comment, and I've made a comment on this stream before, that these people need to be defeated. And I was talking about the leftists, and I was talking about the Democrats, and I was saying these people have to be defeated. You can't talk with them. You can't sit up there and negotiate with them. Now you're seeing why. Because they're not rational people. The mayor's statement was just absolutely ridiculous. He had somebody get attacked on his streets simply because the guy was driving a car with North Carolina plates on it.
Yeah, I saw that footage, and that was ridiculous. Oh, you're from North Carolina. Go back to North Carolina. We don't want your kind here. And whoa. Wait a minute.
And the police were there and watching the whole thing and letting it happen. This is what they're calling, okay, what they're calling, well, this is freedom of speech and this is a peaceful march. No, it's not peaceful. It never has been peaceful. These are not peaceful people. So here they go, well, people have the right to protest. Fine, you can protest peacefully. But there's a difference between protesting peacefully and what these people are doing. And when I say these people, I'm talking Antifa and the people who support them. And whether anybody likes to admit this or not, the people that support them include the vast majority of the Democrats and the Democrat Party.
And what does he say he's going to do? Oh, I'm just going to make more laws that are already already laws.
Yeah, absolutely. And the fact remains that he has repeatedly put out statements in support of the protesters as they're ripping apart his city, the downtown area of Portland, of all places. You know, where you want people to go and fucking spend money, you know, the fucking heart of the city. And instead, you can't even drive through there. They're blocking the fucking roads. They're assaulting people. If you walk down the street with a fucking red hat on, even if it doesn't say fucking Make America Great Again, they're going to assume it does, and they're going to fucking assault you. And then, oh, wait a minute. That was a Red Sox hat. I mean, what the fuck is going on here?
What did you expect from these people? I mean,
I expect adults to be adults. I expect the police to fucking uphold the law or quit. If I was a police officer in Portland and I was like, okay, you know, they're rioting, let's get the gear on, let's go, you know, shut this down. And then all of a sudden there's a phone call from the mayor that says, no, stand down. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to quit and I'm going to go find a job in another city.
Well, I've said it before and I'll say it again. People are needing to understand you have to destroy Antifa. They are really, really fucking bad for your country. And I know that this next line is going to get people not to like me, but you know what? I don't care. They are the brown shirts from back in Nazi Germany, Part 2.
All right. I love what Patriot Prayer has in mind. But they are partly to blame for that huge commotion that happened. Because they know that wherever they go, a huge number of Antifa is sure to follow.
So they should just sit there and bound and bended knee and give in
I
and cave in.
did not say that.
Well, when you say that they're partly responsible, that's what you're doing. When you say that they're partly responsible because they know Antifa is going to stand up, all right, then you're making the conclusion that they probably shouldn't have done that, that they should have just been afraid of Antifa, or they should sit up there and back down because of the threat of Antifa.
All I said was that Antifa is going to follow them. And Antifa follows Patriot Prayer wherever they go. You know that I am right.
Okay. What does that have to do with them being partly responsible?
If Patriot Prayer had not been there, that reporter would not have been attacked.
I'm sorry, but it goes back to the same thing. What you're saying is that Patriot Prayer is, since they know that Antifa is going to follow them everywhere, and that they're going to become violent, that they themselves shouldn't show up. Then that's essentially what you're saying there, Sherardi.
Just a suggestion. You know what we should do is get them Patriot Prayer guys to all go to one area, do a meeting. Antifa comes, we can get MC to drop a rock and get rid of both of them. Sounds like I've got one bloke who agrees.
I do realize that sacrifices have to be made. There's going to be some casualties here.
Was I incorrect in what I stated?
You're incorrect in the regards to they're not the ones responsible, and that's the problem that I have. Look.
Okay.
And here's why.
Tell me.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, tell me why I'm incorrect.
Because the fact that they're going to show up, even if they know someone else is going to show up, isn't their responsibility. They're not responsible for the violence that happens because of Antifa. Okay, they are not. And it's already been proven when Proud Boys show up at a place unannounced by themselves just to do a talk and a rally, there's never any violence, there isn't any destruction. You can't say that about Antifa. So the idea that somehow they're responsible when they announce they're going to be at a place, and that they're everybody knows they're willing to take Antifa on, that's still not their responsibility for the violence. It's on Antifa because Antifa intends to be violent, and to say that it's their responsibility that they shouldn't show up at these places is giving in to exactly the reason Antifa is violent. Because they want to shut this kind of stuff down. And if they get away with it with this, Sherardi, they'll do it to the next level. They've already stated publicly, all right, that the liberals get the bullet too. Once they get rid of the quote-unquote, people that are standing up against them on the right, then we'll sit up there and try and start going to the next person. Antifa is completely out of control. Now, you want to compare what Antifa is like, you can take a look at what they did with Sargon. Sargon is not even close to being right-wing, and yet they attacked him, and they attacked his statements. And it's not about the right or taking away transgender or anything else, because it's obvious that Sargon's never said anything like that. All right, so that isn't their purpose. Their purpose is to dominate the political sphere. And if you give in to this kind of jackbooted kind of thugs to these people, or you start playing the game of a pox on both houses because they know, so they're partly responsible, then you're letting them get away with what they're doing, and you're making an excuse for them.
Well, I'm looking at the chat here, and Doku says Antifa fit the definition of domestic terrorists. I think we should get the FBI involved, especially in cities like Portland and, the college campus of Berkeley.
Antifa's already labeled a terrorist organization by the FBI. But nobody is ever arresting Antifa.
Nobody's arresting frickin' the corrupt jackasses in the FBI either. I still don't see Lisa Page in jail. I still don't see Peter Strzok in jail. All right? I still don't see Strzok, whatever. I still don't see Rosenstein still has his job. Okay? McCabe still hasn't been put in prison, although they quote unquote, well, we've impaneled a grand jury is the latest thing on him.
Well, and the thing is, though, Portland never used to put up with this shit. You've seen footage on YouTube? I know you guys have of the Portland police cracking skulls. All right, they usually run up in there and shut this shit down quick as shit. But now they're being told by the mayor of Portland to stand down. I think the mayor has blood on his hands on this one.
Well, I would agree with that. I would agree with that statement. I mean, he is the one responsible for the vast majority of this, right? And it's going to continue because the Democrats believe in this shit. Go ahead, Charlie.
Oh, I was just gonna say, Jacob says, stop being a bitch, Mad, and just French kiss and make up with MC. Make sure it's French.
No.
Let me drop the rock. I think Jensen's got the only one who's proposed a solution, and I'm not adverse to it.
Could you aim the rock in the middle of Seattle and Portland? Maybe we could take out both cities. That would really help the Pacific Northwest out.
You can stare rocks.
Oh, I just think that it's gone too far.
It was gone too far 10 years ago, Shardy.
Yes, I know. But now kids don't need to be seeing shit like this to the point where people are wearing brass knuckled gloves or whatever the hell they're wearing on their hands, spraying people in the face with pepper spray, breaking store windows for no goddamn reason other than, oh, I'm pissed off because I'm acting like an angsty teenager even though I'm 20, 30, 40 fucking years old and Trump won the presidency.
Well, yeah, and also the stuff with the Proud Boys beating up an Antifa guy. From what I hear is the Antifa guy attacked first, knocked off one of the Proud Boys' hat, which they then proceeded to beat the fuck out of the guy. Sooner, this is going... Well, there was also a reporter attacked. There was also another guy just walking by wearing a MAGA hat that was mugged and robbed. 2 or 3 of the Antifa guys got arrested. The other 3, including the guy that stole the backpack, got away. This shit is getting out of hand. And yes, it's been out of hand for a while, but it hasn't been to this level of tension. You almost don't want to go to any of these big cities at all anymore.
The reason, though, that it's not at this level of tension was only because while they were acting that way for the longest time, nobody stood up to them. They were already caving in. They had gotten used to just caving into these little thugs and these little thuggish tactics. And they knew that the press, everybody was watching the press, excuse their behavior on a consistent basis. What you're seeing now is you're seeing people who have fed up with just backing down to this crap and standing up for themselves and what they believe. And they're not doing it unpeacefully. They're just saying, we're not going to listen to your shit. And the response to that, their response to that is to increase the violence to the point where it's like, okay, now I'm going to respond. And it keeps happening again and again and again. And what's the press doing? The press just goes out of its way to inflame it any further. All right, that's all that they're doing. That's all they try to do is they keep on trying to blame one side, all right, or encourage the pox on both houses so they don't have to actually report what's really going on. And this has been their standard MO for a long time. Now, granted, the alternative press is outing a lot of this stuff, but notice it hasn't stopped them. It hasn't stopped this. It hasn't prevented them from continually to lie about it, all right, at every opportunity that they get to cause blame and shame in an attempt to sit there and go, oh, it's this group. Just look at how they referred to the Charlotte. What happened in Charlotte? Well, that was a mob. That was the mob. Okay. Now, anybody with any kind of common sense knows what they were doing there, but people that don't follow politics all that closely or don't hear about anything, they think that, okay, this is just another case of the right wing attacking the left wing, and it's all the same and it's all equivalent. Just like what Shirardi was saying. Well, they were partly responsible. That's the kind of response that they're at least looking for. If they can't get total blame thrown on the Proud Boys, they want people to think, well, they're at least partly responsible, so they can take a look at that movement and denigrate it.
Don't even
what?
Don't even lump me in with those people. You know for a fact that anywhere Patriot Prayer or the Proud Boys go, the Antifa people are sure to follow.
So what?
And they will create violence. Whether it's
but that
attacking random people, attacking the Proud Boys or Patriot Prayer, or attacking buildings.
Wherever Antifa goes, they're going to do that.
Yes.
Regardless, but that doesn't then excuse or excuse the behavior of saying, well, the Proud Boys are partially responsible.
Well, yeah, and my point would be, what are they supposed to do then, Shirardi? Hide at home in their fucking parents' basement like Antifa does after they disperse from the riot? Because I don't see Gavin McInnes or the Proud Boys ever doing that. I see them standing up and fighting back because that's what they've done the whole time.
I understand what they were trying to do. They were trying to help the police because the mayor wasn't letting the police do a goddamn thing.
The thing you gotta remember when it comes to this is the Patriot Prayer, that whole thing. There's a lot of freaking veterans in there. And what was the oath that all freaking service members took? To fight enemies, foreign and domestic. Antifa's a domestic terrorist. You think that we're going to just stand by and let them fucking take over the damn country? No, we're going to stand our ground. And then when they freaking go, because none of the really prayers that I've seen, they're not aggressive. But when Antifa gets aggressive, they defend themselves. And you have a right to defend yourself.
Never said you didn't.
Yeah, we're not attacking you, Shirardi. We're trying to figure out what it is you want Patriot Prayer and the Proud Boys to do, because they're not just going to hide at home. But I'm going to read the chat real quick. Jacob says, enough bitching already. Let's do something about it. What is it? Okay, enough bitching already. Let's do something already. Let's start talking about what it is we're going to do. Well, I mean, there are people doing stuff. That's what we're saying. It is Patriot Prayer and the Proud Boys that are actually holding rallies and events and actually standing up to these people. But now they're being tarred and feathered pretty much in the media.
I'm going to be blunt. Stop standing up to them, form up and destroy them. There you go. That is how you deal with them. There is no question. There is no confusion. Destroy Antifa. Okay, there you go. Done.
What do you think, MC?
I think we need to destroy Antifa. I think, however it has to happen. I think you're going to have to go out of your way to do it. I don't think you're going to be able to talk to them. I don't think you're going to quite get people to understand. You're not going to get Antifa members to understand not to do this. This is their calling. This is how they were raised. This is what they believe. This is their civil rights movement. This is their moment for social justice. And this is how they intend to spread it. And they've been told that this is an acceptable way to spread their message. All this crap about people saying, well, conflict resolution and we want to talk that bull crap. The reason that they've gotten this way, and I can tell you right now, the main reason is because their way by doing it that was the old political correct way. They've now realized political correctness isn't acceptable in the United States. All right, the vast majority of people in America and I mean up almost 92% reject political correctness. Since they're getting rejected, this is their response. And what's the response of the adults that were supposed to stop them? They're applauding it. Now, you can laugh at you want, you can say that that isn't true if you want, or you can take a look at what the media and what the Democrat Party is actually doing, and you can't deny that that is what their intent is. It always has
My
been.
husband's on break. I'm getting out of here for a minute.
Okay.
All right.
Right? It always has been. Everyone wants to deny. Well, there's good Democrats too. There's good Democrats too. Okay, show me them. Show me them where they're standing up against Antifa, and I mean their leadership, the dedicated leadership of all these quote unquote moderate Democrats. Where are they on this issue? Silent. You don't see them in the press. You don't see them calling them out. You see them maybe go well, you know, both sides need to step down, and we're a little concerned about things like this. That's the most you're going to get out of them, because they don't dare. They don't dare stand against what they've unleashed. And do not misunderstand me. They unleashed this, and it was unleashed intentionally.
Well, how exactly do you destroy Antifa? You meet violence with violence? Because, and first off, Mad Dodge Productions does not ever, you know, tell people to go be violent. All right, that's not what we do here. It's not a call to action. We are doing a thought experiment, trying to figure out how exactly you could stop Antifa. And now that being said, go ahead.
You want to stop Antifa? It's real easy. You got the police, right? You know that they're going to go after the Proud Boys. You set the police up around the area, and as soon as the rioting begins, you immediately go in there and you haul every friggin' one of them immediately off the jail. You cordon them in, you hold them in a tight pack, and you pull each and every one of them out, all right, one at a time in cuffs, and you throw them in jail. Not for a day, all right, not for a week, all right. You put them in jail saying you're being charged with intentional damage, intentional rioting, and you're going to jail for 5 years.
That might put a stop to it real quick. That's a good plan.
And you do it on all these college campuses especially. And you take the professors and say, now you're a convicted criminal. And you take the rest of them that are rioting and say, good luck trying to get a degree now. Your degree is going to be worthless because you're a convicted felon. That's what it basically took initially in the 70s to stop this crap. It's either that or you start calling out the National Guard, you frickin' fix bayonets, and you put an end to it that way.
That's where I would start, just so we're clear.
Yeah, what are you, the British Stonewall Jackson? Show them the bayonet, boys. Show them the bayonets.
Actually, I was going to go with the whole blood in the streets quote, but same effect, I suppose.
And here's the thing. They're damn fucking lucky that none of them have gotten shot yet. For the level of violence that they go to, a lot of the people who go to these rallies, they tend to be firearm owners. And they're damn lucky that they haven't fucking gotten shot. Or there's been more incidents like that.
Yeah,
most of the gun owners are responsible. They don't want to have to shoot people.
Well, yeah, you don't want to have to, but if you're getting hit in the head with a fucking bike lock, I would call that ground so, you know, fucking shoot somebody dead.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I'm just saying that they're at least when this is why I got so irritated with Sherardi's comment, right? That they're partly responsible. The only ones who are acting responsible in this case are the Proud Boys, because they're not doing that exact thing. They're going out of their way not to be overly defensive in this issue. Okay? But it's going to take that. It's going to take a mass amount of these idiots being frickin' put down permanently, I think, before this is going to end.
Well, and if they're already labeled a domestic terrorist organization, they could be brought up on federal frickin' charges, too. And that's the route you should go. Charge them federally and him with fucking a bunch of the terrorism fucking laws.
But as long as you... The problem is...
To reopen Gitmo. There you go. Send them all there.
I'm not adverse to doing that either.
Who said it was ever closed?
Fair play.
I would expand them. I would expand it, and then when their freaking sentence is over from Gitmo, you just open the doors and let them walk right across the border into Cuba. Enjoy your life, you little commie fuck.
Damn. Steve's going for the juggler. All right. No. Yes. I say you charge them with terrorism. They are a domestic terrorist group. But if you start doing that, then you're going to have calls from the left and the media to classify the Proud Boys, Patriot Prayer, the Tea Partiers, if there's any.
They're already calling for that. What difference does that make?
But they're not. That's the problem. They would have to change the definition of terrorism then. Because by a textbook definition, what the Proud Boys, Patriot Prayer does, that's not terrorism. But Antifa is terrorism.
Nothing to stop the press from going after them. They want them arrested as terrorist organizations already. They've already stated that. They're already calling anybody that stands up to Antifa a terrorist group.
Well, which is ridiculous, really. I don't know. All I know is my wife has to go to Portland tomorrow again. She's headed to the coast today, but there's nothing going on the coast. But in Portland, it's going to hell. Luckily, she doesn't have to cross the river. All the violence seems to be in downtown and across the river. She sticks to the outskirts of Portland for what she has to do. So that's a positive. She's also got about 6 knives in the car, so I would like to see somebody try and fuck with her car. They're going to end up stabbed. But she does not have a gun yet, so...
Wait, Dodge, the violence is still going on?
It's sporadic. A lot of them are protesting the shooting that happened, and they're still doing it quite a bit.
Yeah, the guy that shot the other 2 guys.
Yeah, the piece of shit that, the cops responded to because he had already shot 2 people, and then he turned to, I don't know, maybe shoot a cop, and then they killed him. You know how I feel about police shootings, but this was a clean shoot.
Police shootings are usually not something nice, and usually there's a reason. Sometimes there is no reason. I'm going to have to drag up a video for you of a shooting here in Albuquerque where they went up to the spot, they sicked the dog on the dude, threw the flashbang, and then shot him with an AR-15. Did you catch that?
Yeah, no, I heard you. But yeah, so, I mean, Black Lives Matter is still kind of protesting that sporadically. Whenever Tema comes in, she was saying something in Discord about the mayor and the governor of, so the mayor of Portland and the governor of Oregon are both being investigated for ethics violations. So, yeah, I love Democratic politics. Yeah, they run this state so fucking well. God damn it.
And you go out of your way to ensure it continues.
Oh, do we have to have this argument again, MC?
I think it's a good time for it.
I don't know. It's not quite. We're not quite as far gone as freaking London is, or England as a whole. But we're headed down that route if these politicians get their way.
Can't wait to see you defend yourself with a spork.
Yeah, that's coming, dude. Just accept it. And I've said it before, but you guys really want to keep an eye on the sort of crap we're having to go through over here, because it will come your way. Accept this.
Well, and I'm looking at the chat here, and Joshua says, doesn't Portland have massive debt? Well, Portland is ran by a Democratic governor, or not governor, but mayor. So figure it out. The answer is yes.
Let's cut to the chase. The answer is yes. Next.
But, I mean, it's just getting so far out of hand.
It was out of hand the time to have nipped this in the bud, I'm telling you guys now, right, was 20 years ago. And it could have been nipped in the bud by some of the heroes on the left. By one of your freaking heroes, Joe Lieberman, all right? And the other jackass freaking Bernie Sanders. If they were as committed to honesty, if they were as committed to the lack of corruption as they both claimed, Bill Clinton would have been impeached and removed as president. And then we would have had people once again respecting law and order in the country. You have
How?
no respect
with Al
for
Gore's
law.
leadership?
Huh?
If you removed Bill Clinton, you would have had Al Gore.
Al Gore would have been the president. That's very true. All right, but at that point in time, you had no evidence at all that Al Gore was corrupt. But you had all sorts of evidence sitting right in your face as to the corruption of Bill Clinton. And they didn't do anything. He walked scot-free and was never held accountable. So now the Democrats took that as an omen that they didn't have to listen to any rules. It doesn't apply to them as long as they've got a Dem by their name. Because they knew at that point right there, the press would never hold them accountable for their own corrupt activities. And that's one of the reasons why they see no reason to deny frickin' Antifa for doing what they are, because they know they're not going to be held accountable for it. And you know what? As much as people are bitching about this mayor, as much as people are bitching about the governor, they're banking on that same fact too, and they're probably right.
I don't know. John Kitzhaber, his wife got in trouble for some shady financial dealings while he was governor, and he ended up resigning over it. So here, at least with Oregon politics, if you're dirty and it gets outed, you go bye-bye.
He decided to go bye-bye. If he'd have decided to fight, more than likely, nothing would have happened to him because the press would have backed him.
I don't know. The Register Guard is left-leaning, and they were covering the Kitzhaber scandal quite thoroughly.
Really? In comparison to what?
The Oregonian.
The innuendos and everything that other people were doing? Right? I'm sorry, it doesn't wash. In one case, a case here or a case there doesn't show you the rule of law is being respected. Show me what's their stance right now with Antifa.
I haven't read the Register Guard in a while, so I don't know. But I do remember. I still lived in town. I think I used to get a Register Guard paper every day. I just liked reading the newspaper, sports section and shit like that. But they were covering the scandal pretty thoroughly, and it was all ethics violations and money crimes. His wife was involved in some shady shit behind the scenes.
What did he go to jail?
No, he stepped down, resigned, and disappeared. Yeah.
So basically, he bit the bullet for his wife for no other reason. And was his wife ever put in jail?
I do not remember if they actually arrested her. I don't remember actually. I don't know. Tema, do you remember if Kitzhaber's wife ended up going to jail for that shady financial dealings?
I don't think so. I bet just because of how it works, I don't remember anybody's wife going to jail for any kind of untoward financial dealings and being in politics for, God, probably 10 years. And that's across the country.
The only state that I've actually seen lock up Democrats for being corrupt was Illinois, and they did it with Blagojevich and Ryan.
Okay, yeah, that's about all I can think of. But Blagojevich, there was no way around that. There were way too many people affected by it. They couldn't cover for him on that one. And I think he pissed off the wrong people with having too much power, honestly.
Yeah, wasn't he trying to sell Obama's fucking seat or whatever?
I don't remember. Something like that. He was getting people to bid on how much they would pay to get access to the power of the seat or something like that. He was way too blatant about his K Street dealings.
But yeah, okay. You said earlier in Discord that the mayor of Portland is under investigation, as is fucking that bitch of a governor we have. What are they under investigation for exactly?
Okay, I haven't heard that there is an investigation as of yet. All I've heard is that stuff is being dropped. Supposedly, there's an inquiry into the police standing down. There's already something happening at the state level, looking into the police not stopping the fighting from occurring because there was crime involved. Apparently, there's rumors of that happening. I haven't seen anything directly saying it's going to happen. What I have seen is Veritas drop a video of the current governor being fine with doing a lot of shady shit and having other people do it for her. It's fucked up. I recommend you guys go look at it. I'll pull it up and I'll put it in the chat. And Patriot Prayer, I'll put this in the chat as well. These are 2 video links. Patriot Prayer is calling for a recall of the mayor of Portland. They're looking for 35,000 signatures. I don't think they're going to have a problem getting these signatures, guys. Because if you look at the videos that are being posted of the Portland, the protests with Antifa and shit, you see a whole lot of denizens being really pissed those people are there.
No, and them harassing old people for no fucking reason, that was bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the old guy was just trying to turn the corner and they were fucking harassing him because he was like, Leslie Nielsen levels of white. So, yeah, no, that was crap. That was some shit. And I'm so sick of this whole you white supremacists, blah, 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 crap coming from these crazy fuckers that are white. Oh, my God.
Yeah, well, no. And do you want to create a fucking white supremacist movement in America? Because this is how you create a white supremacist movement in America. You fucking idiots.
Wonder why the alt-right is growing? And it's not like this area doesn't have a history of having issues with white supremacy in the past. So why would you keep screaming this at people?
Oh, they're hardly a problem right now. I mean, hell. I mean, yes, they have some numbers on their side, but they're not a problem. They're nothing to really worry about at all.
No, in the 80s, in the punk scene, in the 80s, Portland was notorious for white supremacy.
What my concern is the idea that, yeah, I realize you're saying that they're not a problem right now because you don't see them going out of their way and killing people or anything like that. But what's worse is people like Jack in charge of Twitter and Facebook basically ban them out of their platform so nobody can see what they're really up to. That's a problem.
Yep. I mean, hell, that's pretty much to be expected at this point. You kick someone off and they slowly, quietly start to grow.
Discord's next. They're going to start going after Discord next.
That's why the NPC meme is so fucking funny right now.
Yeah, where did that fucking thing even come from? 4chan or something?
Probably.
NPC?
Yeah, 4chan. I know it's a non-playable character.
Thought so.
I thought NPC was just sort of an organic thing that kind of popped up from people making jokes.
No, it's from gaming. A non-playable character.
I know what an NPC is.
Okay. Shut it.
I play games. I've been playing games
Tetris.
longer. I've been playing RPGs longer than some of the people in the stream or the chat may have been alive. So,
like MC?
No, I'm not that old. No, I wasn't on the planning commission for Yard. That's MC. I forgot what I was saying now. Fuck.
Yeah, no. To wrap it back around to Portland and Antifa and all that. I don't know. I think maybe the cops were standing down, one, because the mayor probably ordered it, and two, because it was about a police shooting is what the protest was about. And so they're protesting the police. Then the police come in riot gear and fucking crack skulls. How is that really good optics for the Portland Police Department?
I think they... Honestly, I think they handled it pretty... I mean, if they're going to confront an angry mob, you might as well be ready.
Has the police chief said anything about why the police were ordered to be stood down? I haven't been able to find anything like that.
I haven't seen anything myself. That's why I'm assuming the mayor, because the mayor's comments make it sound like it was him that gave the stand down order.
Isn't the mayor also the police chief? Or not the police? Yeah.
No, but usually
the one who runs the police.
The mayor sets the budget for the police department of the city, so he can call and be like, "Hey, I don't want you doing this to the chief." But no, there's a separate police chief.
No, I read something about the mayor running the police.
Yeah. Sure, are you thinking of the county commissioner? Question mark.
No.
Oh.
I think the way that's set up is that the mayors do technically have some authority over the police department.
So the police chief is named Danielle Outlaw. And I can't find any.
Wait. Outlaw? That's like the best police chief's name ever. Just commenting on that. Okay, well, there's dead air. I'm sorry, I'm looking. Yeah, I'm looking at the chat. William's in there. How you doing, William? Cheeseburgers are yummy. Okay, thanks for the information. I'm pretty sure we all knew that already. Okay, straight to the mail. Do you guys have a Antifa presence in New Mexico? I mean, I know in Eugene, Oregon, and Portland, Oregon, both we have Antifa.
We do, but it's very, very small. There's
crush them now before they grow.
They're not very big here. There's a bunch of they can't last with the gangs.
Well, just give them to the gangs. Like, see how long they last.
The gangsters and the Native Americans see them as a threat, and they usually get their asses kicked before they even get a chance.
Oh, good.
What you're looking for?
To put it bluntly, when you've got a weed in your garden and you destroy it, this is what people need to understand with these people. Antifa, at the end of the day, are nothing less and nothing more than the brown shirts from Nazi Germany. Why is it people are not understanding this?
Oh, they're more than that. They're the wimpiest brown shirts in history. They're the damn middle class asses who are just raised by their fucking pretty much richer parents. And they think, oh yeah, the world is exactly how I think because mom and dad told me.
Well, I'm still sticking with my idea of how to deal with Antifa. Destroy them completely. Of course.
I agree with you on that, definitely.
Okay, cool.
I just don't want to see any more violence in the streets of Portland. I definitely don't want to see it spread to Eugene.
Oh, it doesn't matter what we want. It's going to happen. The
mayoral response is to crack down on allowing protests of any sort. So what they're going to do is just, if you show up with any sort of anything they determine is a protest, they're going to come hammer down on everybody, which is equally
Jacob,
bad.
you apparently sound like an 18-year-old, and Tema, you're supposed to use your magic woman powers to make barbecue ribs for American
I'm
Phoenix.
20.
Actually, I'm not the one that makes the ribs in our house, Phoenix. Carl is. His father was a professional chef. He really knows how to cook. I'm really good at cooking too, but my husband is the master of meats. Like, I can make a roast, but that man can do things to meat that I can't even. It's gonna sound sexual if I keep going.
It already does, sugar.
That's how he wooed me, actually, was his superior cooking skills. That's how he...
God damn it.
Kinky.
Yeah.
So the response by the mayor is fuck everybody.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, the mayor, the response of the mayor is, well, okay, if you have a history of known violence, we may not let you protest. So what it's going to be is it's going to be Patriot Prayer, Proud Boys, Unite the Right, what is it? Young Americans Foundation or whatever it is, YAF, the Republican Youth Organization, all those kind of groups, the Based Crowd, all those people that try to set up protests and marches and stuff, they're going to get shut down, and Antifa's not going to get shut down. So there's only going to be an Antifa protest. It was horrible. What about it?
My kids are watching it and dancing like lunatics.
Yeah. The movie has zero substance. Everybody's unhappy on the bad guy's side, so they think in order to be happy, they have to eat happy people.
Until the very end of the movie, when everybody becomes happy and starts dancing.
I think they had the right idea.
Except for a woman who gets eaten because she didn't think you should change the tradition.
Yeah, the chef.
Yeah. It was fucking crazy.
Okay, I have no idea what you guys are even talking about, but we should make it. Maybe we should make Antifa watch that shit. Maybe they'll just start dancing instead of rioting.
They would. Let's be honest, they would.
They would just start chewing on people in the street.
As long as they're eating each other.
Well, there's the silver lining, guys. Antifa gets rid of all of the Unite the Right and everybody that you mentioned. And they have to fight each other, because that's what the left does.
No, what it does say is that people aren't willing to hold the authorities and the officials up to the standards that they set themselves up. As much as I understand, y'all want to say, oh yeah, fuck these guys, this and that, it's about time people start actually doing something about these officials, actually holding them up, say, hey, look what they're doing. More than just posting, rehashing all that shit, doing something, going out there and actually starting something. Start making things happen. It's going to take more than just, like I said, posting, making videos, all that stuff. Does something, but does not. What have you done? Well, as much as I get that as well. My own situation, I'm more frustrated myself.
Well, you post a lot of stuff about let's do something. You should do something. You should quit talking about it and do something about it. But what have you done?
Half of life is just showing up. That's a quote from Dr. Shiva.
Hey, Mings.
No, I haven't done a lot. I know I haven't done a lot.
What's going on, guys? No, I mean, all you...
anything else.
No, that's the thing. What's going on, guys? No, I mean, here's the thing. A lot of folks, they see this and you see the bad stuff. Like, at least the event that I went to and stuff, maybe it's more of just a Massachusetts thing. But I'll be straight up, since it was a freedom of speech event, dude, there were police officers that drove all the way from Florida to literally, like, work that detail, to, like, help folks out and stuff. So as long as it's run well, I mean, things are generally fine. Yeah, there's going to be folks on whatever side looking for a fight, no matter who you're talking with. Oh, I hope someone does this. I hope someone does that. Why? There are reasons. There are incentives. Different groups, sometimes they have ways to, quote unquote, level up, raise up the ranks. As long as if you are the victim and you defend yourself, there are certain ways to basically grow within the organization. Again, that is not to start any violence, but to defend themselves. I know certain groups are like that, but the big thing is, it's just, if you show up and you have 10 people there, it's like, okay. Like in Boston, was it the first freedom of speech rally 2 years ago? I thought about going to it. I was out drinking at the bar. A lot of folks, don't go. There were like 30,000 protests, maybe 50,000, as opposed to like, I don't know, like 30 folks that were there. But it was a certain mimetic. If you have certain folks showing up that are acting right, that are actually like not starting stuff, that's hard to ignore once you grow to certain numbers. That's how you get movements to grow and everything. Here's one of the things that I kind of see. And before MC starts yelling at me, I'm going to ask just a couple of questions here. Because the thing that I've noticed is that President Trump understands that Antifa exists. President Trump, on many things that are like throwaway things, like when he just calls people names and everything, a lot of that I truly believe is a distraction. And behind the scenes, just with what's going on with like Jeff Sessions and everything, I haven't heard his name at all recently. What's going on with him? And I'll just base this off an example of something that I saw in Massachusetts about 15 years ago. One of my friends, he worked for the housing authority. There was a lot of violent crime in the area at the time. They had certain federal funds that were going there that his wage was up like 60, 70% of what it normally was because the epidemic was that bad with different violence. So there was a federal and local partnership to deal with the issue. What I think might be happening, just based upon, again, local things, certain times there'll just be a day when all of a sudden you see just a wide array of arrests and everything. And I'm curious what you guys think about this. What if President Trump is having a case built? If Antifa is already labeled as a terrorist organization in some states, but you still see pages up, why is that? I'm pretty sure if the President of the United States knows that there are issues going on, especially if they happen to be his quote-unquote political adversaries or enemies, why would he keep them up? Why would he allow them to be up? What if he's falling? What if one day all of a sudden we turn on the news or something, 1,200 arrests across the country or something like that? That's why these folks, they need to stop committing acts of violence because they're going to go to jail. That's just kind of something I think that might be going on. What do you guys think?
So
why would they believe that they're going to go to jail when Hillary Clinton hasn't?
Because you need to build a much bigger case to put a former presidential candidate with as much name recognition in jail without the country splintering apart. You need a steel solid case if that was going to happen.
Clinton, anyone?
Memes. Dude, we weren't even able to get the damn bike lock guy arrested at all, man. We weren't able to get him into prison. And that was over in California.
How was that working? That was based upon the local authorities that I believe the standing orders at the time were to not engage. And isn't there an investigation into that? I'm just saying there might be. Again, I could be completely wrong.
He was set free, let go.
3 months probation.
Yeah, he got nothing. Pretty much
or 3 years probation.
Yeah,
somebody like a child just said, "Don't do that again."
So those were state charges, correct?
No, those were local.
Okay, now
as far as Trump goes, he's just running around doing interviews and trolling the hell out of people right now.
No, that could absolutely be true. He might not give a shit. He might not think it's a big deal at all. But I tend to think a lot of the times on things that would seem very divisive, if somebody happens to be his quote-unquote enemy, rather than just seem overtly political, he builds a case going through the system and has the executive authority to enact or basically push the Justice Department to go forward with potential federal charges. I think that might be something that's... I could be completely off. That's why I say it's like, dude, nobody should be committing freaking acts of violence. You have the right to peacefully protest. If all of a sudden you shut down protest, you're getting rid of the freaking Constitution right there. You're restricting people's rights to peacefully protest.
That only works if people can even recognize that. The Constitution can only work if people recognize that it recognizes it as an authority, or at least something. But at this point, we see nearly half of the country say, "Oh yeah, this is fine. This is fine. Fuck the Constitution."
Yeah, that's wrong.
Oh yeah, it's wrong, but they don't care. It doesn't matter what we think. Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter what I think. They don't care.
But that's kind of untrue as well, because it looks like really there's only about 8% of the nation that agrees with what's going on right now when it comes to Antifa. They are not a very large group of people.
They're not, but the people on their side, they're just staying quiet about it. They're just quietly twiddling their hands like, "Oh yeah, we don't say anything. We don't say anything, we're going to back you up."
Your average Joe Dicker Sally does not like what's going on. I told this story before. Just a couple of night managers and stuff at places I've worked. I'm shooting the shit with them, and all of a sudden it's like you turn on the channel, whatever channel you go on, the world is ending in a different way. And it's just, they even said, it's like, yeah, most folks are probably maybe not in the exact middle. What the hell is the middle? Maybe it's more of the mean of just folks in general. It's like, people don't like violence, and at least it's seen before, at least back in the day, you say, "Oh, we have the moral higher ground because we're not the ones committing it." But now you're seeing it on frickin' everywhere. And I will give the Proud Boys credit. They are fairly organized. Stomping a mud hole in somebody, that's shitty. I remember the other day, I kind of ragged on them a bit, but upon watching further video that was posted, it looks like folks were spraying pepper spray at them. As far as I understand, that's considered assault.
If I remember correctly, there have been plenty of times recently where the Proud Boys and other groups like them were outnumbered, right?
They're always outnumbered, but they actually know how to fight. Often. I mean, have you seen, when was it when they had the deplorable? And Gavin actually got into a fist fight while he was still working for Fox News. Like, he ended up fucking that guy up. Like, these guys don't know how to fight.
He's not a big dude. And
yeah, I know.
He's tiny. He's like 5'7". He's like my size. He's not a, yeah.
Well, actually, Tim, I wanted to bring up something you brought up while I was listening to the stream, doing a little work around the house. It's you had brought up something about there were rumors about things. Could that not potentially feed into the narrative that there may be federal authorities working with different folks in the states to kind of investigate what the hell is going on? Because if you're ordering the police force to just stand by while there's violence there, like that just ain't right. Doesn't that defeat the purpose of the police? And just even from what was it, the Berkeley things, you're interviewing, the guy was looking at it, he's asking them, and they just can't even comment. I don't think they want to sit there and watch violence happen. They want to be there and actually do their jobs. I believe at least most police officers want to do that.
Absolutely. They don't care about the politics of the people meeting. They don't care who's a Nazi and who's fucking not. They just don't want to see their city destroyed because the people they answer to don't want to see the city destroyed. Really, I think that's what it is. Okay, I am biased. I'm not going to lie. I grew up around cops. My mom's a retired 911 dispatcher. So I've seen the other side of what law enforcement deals with too. You know, and I'm not trying to justify anything. It's just, that's where my perspective is, because I think we do have some corruption issues within current year law enforcement. But when you're talking about cops looking at a town and they're seeing protests like this, it doesn't matter if they agree with who's doing the protest or what. All they know is that this isn't what the town is supposed to be like. This wastes their time. And it's a big pain in the ass, and it's fucking dangerous for them, and they don't want that.
Oh no, I agree, and I truly believe that many folks on the quote unquote left. Are there folks out there that get schadenfreude out of seeing somebody on the quote unquote right getting beat up? Sure, yes. Oh, the other side's getting beaten up, but I still believe that most of those folks, they abhor violence. They don't want to see violence in the streets of the United States of America. Just that ain't fucking right.
As long as there's nobody in the right that's willing to sit up there and stand up against them, you're right. But they're willing to tolerate it if there's anybody who's willing to stand up and on the right or has a different political philosophy to them. They would prefer violence, all right, to that person being allowed to speak. Don't believe me.
Most folks think that.
I think you don't think most folks might not believe that, but most folks on the left do, and that's who they voted for their leadership.
I disagree with that point.
Real quick.
Okay, hold on a second. You disagree, memes. Show me the evidence.
Yeah, well,
What about
no,
the walk away movement?
You guys keep going back and forth real quick. William, I don't ignore the chat. I just ignore you. Anyway, go ahead, guys.
Nah, he loves you, man. He loves you like his own mother.
Show me. We'll see. Show me. You got a walk away movement. Really?
Dude, it's driving folks away, dude. I think Antifa would be a hell of a lot better influence if they removed the masks and they could actually attract more folks. If you actually had an organized protest, if you have 10,000 folks just out there actually demonstrating peacefully, it's kind of like the whole women's march and stuff like that. You didn't see mass violence there. Were there perhaps some isolated incidents? Perhaps. But if you see 500,000 folks protesting peacefully, that sends a message.
What message did the pussy hat wearing thing send?
Well, a lot of folks are not necessarily sure. I think the general ethos is they thought that President Trump was going to take away a woman's right to choose. That's generally what I got away. I didn't really hear that articulated quite well, but I'm sure there were some folks that's what they felt.
You're now you're making excuses for them by trying to read their minds and telling us what they were actually thinking. Memes?
Oh, I don't know what
out of your way to figure out a way to excuse their behavior, even in your own mind, to say, well, they were thinking this is why they were doing that.
Well, real quick, to prove to William here that I do actually read off the chat, Anti-Jack says, why can't most Westerners get it? Violence in of itself is not bad. I don't necessarily want political violence on the streets of Portland. Once you start that, it doesn't stop. It's a downward spiral, in my opinion. What say you?
Oh, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm desperate.
When one side is no longer violent again. That's what you guys don't understand. It's going to continue until the one side is not there to be violent against anymore.
Yep.
That defeats the right of freedom to peacefully protest.
No.
People should be able to protest what they want as long as they do it legally.
Want to do it violently, get removed.
Yeah, that's
doesn't defeat the purpose necessarily.
It's kind of repeating history once again. It happened.
Why don't we just build a Coliseum and let these guys go at it for the benefit of all of America? I mean, we could sell tickets. Okay. It'll be great.
We have YouTubers doing it.
Let's take that philosophy and let's expand it to, okay, and who wins is Antifa. Are they going to stay in the Coliseum?
You think Antifa would win that fight? I don't.
Are you willing to willing to go that route? Because this is the same. That was the same solution theory overall. All right, that Sparta and Athens had. All right, we're going to get 100 of our best guys. You get 100 of your best guys, and whoever the victor is, that's who will decide this. And at the end of the battle, all right, there was one Athenian left. Sparta said, we reject this, went back home, got their army, and came after Athens.
Well, that was Sparta.
This is Sparta. And then you kick them in the pit. Anyway.
Well,
what the hell was that? I
Stop kicking people into the giant pit of death, really.
But Spartans were kind of notorious and rather feared, until they agreed to absorb into Greece. It wasn't like they were actually truly conquered. A lot like the Germans of Europe, the Gauls. They were two groups of people that were horrifyingly good at kicking people's asses.
Mm-hmm. Germany should just not be allowed to exist anymore. I'm sorry, but they fucked it up too many times. We should all just divide up Germany at this point. Everybody gets a slice.
I don't agree. I think what happened was that World War II took a toll on the gene pool for Germany.
Yeah, Germany should just not be allowed to exist anymore.
No, honestly,
I don't dislike German people. The government has never gotten shit right.
I would argue that it affected Europe entirely between World War I and World War II. They lost so much of their successful gene pool to war that it's had a long-term effect.
It's traumatized the nation. You even look at frickin' was it a crowd and tea? Dude, even Crowd and stuff like that, he'll rail on folks and shit like that. And as soon as you bring up anything World War II, he just like goes into like a depressed state and stuff. There's a massive level of German guilt, and you can understand why. There's a severe traumatic emotional moment. It's like, yeah, a lot of your forefathers, they exterminated 6 million folks.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's been beaten to death on them, to the point where they just say, hey, we're going to be bitches and let these elites and bring in all these third worlders and do whatever the hell they want.
But if you start oppressing the German folks and stuff like that, what's going to happen? It's going to breed ill will. You're going to see more of the rise of groups like the AFD and stuff.
But we've already had almost 3 generations. But we've had almost 3 generations of people that haven't had, they shouldn't have to have this stain of Nazi guilt attached to them. There's nothing wrong with being a German.
Of course.
But there's this idea that it is. But there's nothing wrong with being German.
No, not at all.
There shouldn't be a reason for them to think badly of themselves.
I got nothing against the German people.
For fuck's sake. But no, I'm saying, the mindset that's fueling this stuff is it's insane. It really is.
Well, people still want Americans to feel bad for fucking dropping the bombs on Japan. Fuck that. They started it.
I don't care. It happened 1945. Fuck me. 1945.
Your husband's in the chat, so I'm not going to follow up with that joke.
Well, goes back to no. Should the son be held guilty for the sins of the father?
No.
Okay, so
absolutely
that should be a principle, right?
Yeah, but if you want to talk about Germany, then you're also talking about the fact that they tried to whitewash their own history. They're not even allowed to talk about the shit. Any sign of Nazi Germany has been completely wiped out, pretty much. Kind of like what they're trying to do to the South and the Confederacy. They want to take down the statues. They want to erase the symbols. They want to blanket out of history. Fucking take out the whiteout pin and fucking erase it.
The problem is,
Germany is so obsessed with getting rid of their history. I don't know. Anybody else here watch WWE or WWF? Anybody know who JBL is?
No.
Okay, he actually got arrested in Germany for fucking walking around the ring doing the fucking the Hitler salute. Yeah, he actually got arrested and spent like 3 days in a fucking German prison because that is illegal to do over there.
I assume he was being a heel at the time.
He was being an asshole at a fucking dark show.
The Sig Heil is illegal in Germany. So is goose stepping.
So John Cleese would be arrested?
Apparently so. Because the Ministry of Silly Walks has got to be one of the funniest skits ever.
Ministry of Silly Walks. No, well, here's the thing. It comes down to it should be a cultural thing. It's like as soon as you start to legislate that, no, you cannot do that, there'll always be folks that want to do that.
It's the Streisand effect, yeah.
Exactly. If you let culture lead, be like, no, we think that's disgusting. Will there be folks that do that? Yes. But I'm pretty sure you'd see a lot less of it because, like, okay, I can do this, but everybody's going to pretty much hate me. Yeah, I'm probably not going to do it. It goes back to the whole freedom of speech thing. It's like, if you have freedom of speech, will people say hateful things? Yes. That is the price of having free speech. But I'm pretty sure you'd see a lot less hateful speech if you didn't necessarily ban it and you went about it in a more proper way.
Well, the problem is we're trying to have macro responses to micro problems, right? Isn't that kind of what we're looking at right now? We have a government who's trying to have or numerous governments who are trying to create macro solutions for micro problems. We have small groups of people, mostly individuals, when operating by and large, the groups that are forming. If you notice, at least I'm noticing when I'm watching these videos, I'm starting to see the same people. When I see these protest videos from 2015 up until now, I'm starting to see the same people. Phoenix,
real quick, this is pretty funny. Anti-Jack in the chat says, as a Korean, I'm angry you only dropped 2 on Japan. He wanted 3.
Oh, Koreans and Japanese. Oh, God. Japanese have the worst.
And we dropped the incorrect ordinance at the time.
And it must be Google Hangouts kicking you guys out. Are you guys on cell phones? It happens a lot more when you're on a cell phone.
Yeah, I'm on a cell phone. I jumped the last time I jumped off on myself. Because you guys are...
Dude, you're roboting, man.
Roboting bad.
Yeah, I'm going to check it out for a few minutes. I'll check it back later.
Okay.
All right.
I kind of understood that.
Oh wait, it just cleared up right
He
there.
said he'll
You
be
guys
right.
understand
there
me
we
now?
go. Totally. Sweet.
Yay! Yeah, it was robot and like it kicked me out. Then I come back, and then it was roboting super hard, so I jumped back out.
But
See if that was cleared up.
Good job. It's fixed now. No, I was referring to the whole Antifa or the censorship of the internet and these hate speech laws and everything. You're talking about individuals talking shit to other individuals on the internet, and they're acting like it's some sort of widespread, like there's people in the world actually doing the same thing. And it's not. It's a micro problem. It's on the individual level, and they're trying to come up with like a universal way to deal with that. And there's no way to deal with that.
I disagree with you.
There's no such thing as hate
I disagree with your assessment.
You can't legislate morality, though. You can't teach people like.
I'm curious what MC thinks.
Yeah.
I think that you're looking at something that is far more macro than you're giving it credit for. This is far more widespread throughout the nation than you seem to want to understand.
No. That's not what I'm saying, MC. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the response to hate speech laws. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about because we were talking about censorship and stuff too. And
okay, I must have missed that. I apologize. I must have missed something.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. I wasn't referencing the Antifa marches because that is absolutely used as a macro. It's grassroots versus corporatized is what you're seeing go on here.
Hold on, let me say something right here. The thing is about that, in their minds, how they see the world is how the world should be. It's how it has to be. In their minds, it's only them who can bring out this better world in their vision. Even if that means to get rid of those who they deem unworthy.
Well,
I've heard before somewhere back in the sort of early 30s of the last century. Can anyone else remember anything to do with that?
You're going to have to give me more than that.
A lot of legislation.
You're going to have to let me. Are you talking about prohibition?
No, I'm actually going with Nazis. I was just going with the soft.
Well, it's also communists. Just look at that. It's pretty much the same shit.
Well, yeah, and looking at the chat, Anti-Jack says, don't underestimate what a small group of people can accomplish. It took less than 10% to institute apartheid, a government in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. And it only took, what, 10% for the American Revolution to happen? About 10% were patriots.
10% were contributing, and it was 10% were contributing, and 3 or 4% were physically fighting. It wasn't a lot of people that created America.
No.
And
that's why.
Well,
that's why Benjamin Franklin, being the pragmatic, cynical bastard that he was, walked out of the congressional room that they signed the Constitution in and said, "What have you given us, sir?" And he said, "We've given you a republic. Now keep it if you can." He recognized the natural laziness because he remembered how small the percentage of people that contributed to the revolution was.
Right.
That was where a lot of that bitterness came from by the end of the revolution that Benjamin Franklin exhibited. If you read his works over time, you can see it happen. It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah, no, and he wasn't even wanting to join the rebels really until he got dressed down in the British Parliament for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and told how much of a piece of shit him and his country was. He walked out of there a rebel.
Yeah.
Wait a second. That sounds like the start of President Donald Trump's decision to run for president.
It sure fucking does, doesn't it? Gee, isn't that usually how really good leaders are born, though? They're kind of forced into a situation. They know they have the ability to do something, and there's nobody left that'll do it, and they just go, fuck it, fine, I'm going to do it. It's also how people like Hitler came to power, too. So it's a little bit of a dangerous thing. He's a populist and a bit of a nationalist, and it's a fine line to dance. I think he'll be fine. We just have to keep a close eye on the next generations of electoral generations that we have going on.
How much of this do you think is of a lot of the negative media coverage of President Trump?
Oh, means this is more than that. This has gone through generations, this whole seat, all this shit. I mean, just look at the academics. It's been filled with leftists, filled with communists. It's been growing and growing for generations. think early as the 1930s to the 1960s, around between those two.
No, I'm not disagreeing. Is that partially a contributing factor? I mean, probably.
It's more
but I
than
think these are
partially.
folks that do think that they're doing what is right.
Of course.
Well, no
It's
man
in their
judges
head. They think
themselves
they're the
as
heroes.
evil.
They think they're their saviors. They think they're going to be the good guys. They think they're doing the right thing. Even if it's doing a lot of bad shit.
Well, everybody is the hero in their own head.
Of course.
I mean, yeah. Even Hitler thought he was doing the correct thing wholeheartedly, but that doesn't mean you are.
Yep.
I don't know. I think I'm a fucking asshole.
Well, you just
you're
have
honest.
self-awareness.
But do you think yourself evil?
Sometimes.
Well, that's
Do you
'cause
think
you've
at your
accepted
core
the
you're an
darkness.
evil person?
No, but I think I'm in the middle.
Okay, so you're capable of good and bad. That's how everybody views themselves.
Chaotic neutral.
Oh, no. Not
Fuck
these
yeah.
leftists. They think they're purely good. They've been raised to think, no, you're great, you're perfect, everything about you is great, you can do better stuff.
God, that's boring. How boring.
Okay,
It's
Atema,
so
you're perfect.
empty.
You just need to fucking accept that at this point.
all right,
God.
let's move on to a new story. There was a story posted in my Discord about drones and how much damage they could do if they run into an airplane. Right now, you already have to register your drone with the federal whatever, the FFA.
You have to register them with the FAA now?
I thought that was only if it went over a certain, if it could only go over a certain elevation.
That might be true. I just remember they put regulations in to where you had to register it. So if they end up expanding that registry to all drones, and then they decide, well, you know, maybe you should have to pay a hefty fee to get the license to fly your drone. And maybe that fee is out of range for a lot of the normal people, effectively prohibiting private drone ownership in that way. Do you think is that the way they're going to go?
Oh, absolutely.
Hold on.
Motherfucker, I would just go back to RC planes.
Those things are fun.
They really are.
Oh, man,
Yeah,
hold on.
they have
Roy.
good enough camera technology to where you could still adapt the camera to one of those little remote planes.
Yeah, it's called duct tape.
Okay.
Do you have a license
We've had
for
the
that?
technology to do it for a long time.
Nah, never mind.
Well,
I fucked up.
No, I heard the license joke. That was a good joke. But no. See, the thing is with drones is not only can they damage the plane, but like I said before, when that wildfire was going on, some jackass was flying their drone over the fucking fire and damn near hit the fucking helicopter dropping water. I mean, like, some of these people are idiots and shouldn't be flying a damn drone. Then again, though, all the drones I see, flight time is like 10 minutes max. I mean, what? You're going to fly this drone up there and aim it at a fucking Cessna and you have about 10 minutes of flight time?
Well,
I don't think
here's the thing,
that's how
MD,
this works.
A lot of those normal, like 1 to 200, one of my former roommates, he got one of the $200 drones that you could pick up at like the Apple store. That thing had like a solid like 4.5, maybe 5 minutes of flight time. It was very light, so if the wind gust at all, didn't have a lot of control. I think what they're talking about is more of the professional, like the currently at like 5 to 15K drones. Because if you are going to spend that much money, if you did have to go through, I don't know, freaking an online course of just like basic stuff and pay like a couple $100 for a license, would that be a reasonable regulation, especially if it could interfere with like passenger air travel?
Well, okay.
I guess who the fuck's gonna spend $10,000 to fuck with a plane?
Hold on. Think about what kind of power you have to have. How much power do you have to have as an output to be able to get a drone up to the same height as an airplane? Even in the $15,000 range, you're talking more. It's going to be like R&D level, or people that are trying to do things untoward or stuff like that. It's a pretty small group of people they're looking at going after for drones. What it really does is it starts scaring people from buying them.
Yeah, it fucks with the hobby.
Yeah, all this is it's all this does is affect drone manufacturing for hobbyists, which is the meat and potatoes of the marketing industry for selling drones.
Yeah, it's like, hey, anybody who fucking wants to buy one of these things can buy one. You can learn how to fly. It's easy.
It's not going to affect anybody that actually enjoys using them or uses them, you know, to record video to make a fucking YouTube thing or something stupid like that. It's none of that. No, it's not going to affect those people. It's going to affect, or it's going to affect them, but only in optic. That's what I'm trying to say. It's mostly the optics that are going to fuck it up. It's just going to make it look like the government's going after it.
It's going to fuck with mining and archaeology because a lot of surveyors and archaeologists are actually using drones to fucking fly out and map out areas to go and either, you know, prospect for gold or to fucking look for bones and shit. So, I mean, and these have to be really high-priced shit. So, I mean, it could actually affect more than just the one industry.
Yeah, 8Jack made a really, really good point here.
Yeah, you can go ahead and read it. That's what I was going to read, but go ahead.
Idiots are who shouldn't own laser pointers as well. Do you want to regulate those and ban people from owning those as well? No, I don't. I think it's retarded to ban any of it. This is stupid. We should just let people live with the consequences. The larger drones that are actually big enough to do damage to any kind of airplane, you know, other than maybe an antique one that has canvas for the wings or something, any of those airplanes, the drones, most of them wouldn't be able to do much damage, would they anyway, MC? You were talking about this before, saying that these things aren't heavy enough to really do any damage.
I think they're talking about takeoff and landing.
No, they were showing
that's pretty much the only time they'd be usable as a weapon.
In that video, they're showing a drone that hitting a wing at about 200-something miles an hour. Right now, the drone that they were showing is obviously a metal drone. It is not the kind of drones that you're seeing people fly at even most of, because most of the drones that fly at those heights are not metal. They're freaking carbon fiber to keep the weight down as much as possible to extend the kind of time it is. So basically here what you have is somebody comes up with an aluminum drone and they use that as an example of the damage that can do to the wing. And if you see the damage to the wing, it does damage one small area of the wing, but structurally it didn't hurt the wing at all. The most dangerous aspect of these things is not a drone strike on a wing that looks dramatic, right? It would be if it gets sucked into an engine and you end up with like a bird strike kind of condition, right?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, yeah.
Hey, and I was thinking, do you guys remember MPS Russia? Or the guy that had all the giant guns and all the toys?
No, but he sounds like somebody I'd like to know.
Didn't he get killed by someone,
guys,
or
I gotta go.
one of his assistants?
Please tell me.
No, they,
Bye, Tema.
Bye, Tema.
Later, Tema.
Nope. What I was saying was they had a drone, and it's one of the ones I'm thinking MC is talking about. The thing had a little grenade launcher and a 45 mounted on it.
How the hell did they
I definitely want to get to know this dude.
No, he doesn't have a YouTube channel anymore. His partner got shot in the head, ironically.
Oh, okay, yeah, exactly what I was thinking of.
But anyways, no, it was a good channel. You can still see the videos, but yeah, he had a lot of fun with guns and tanks and anyway. Sorry, MC. Go ahead, bro.
Well, they've already banned placing weaponry on drones.
Yeah,
they've already made that illegal, right? I'm not saying that what this is going to do is more than anything else, and I kind of agree with Tema, but I don't. Is one of the big things that it's going to cause is for a lot of people are building their own drones. They were getting into it as the hobby of building their own drones. What can they create for themselves? They were creating things on their own. Yes, there's a lot of people that are just doing it and flying it around, but those people also, they get into, okay, here I can mix, I can match, if I get this package, if I get that package, all right, if I do this with it, I can boost the output. All of that's going to go to the wayside though. So are all the new people coming in there to make bigger and better drones? Right now, you got a guy who's basically made a drone that he can sit in, flies out of the hangar, and flies back in the hangar. Right? That's what you're looking for.
That's a gyrocopter.
No, it's not a gyrocopter. It was a freaking
drone. Is he controlling it from the inside, or is he just ballast?
Controlling it from the inside.
Motherfucker, that's a plane!
Actually, no, excuse me. If you saw that thing, you'd be like, that's a UFO.
Okay, now, of course, like all of this stuff, the amount of flight time that these things have is very limited. But the fact that you can fly it out of a hangar and fly it back in the hangar, and it's just like anything else, any of the other drones, with a person sitting inside of it with no connection at all to the ground, is your quote-unquote future of your flying cars.
So, MC, I have one question for you. How long's your flight time on that thing?
It was not me, so.
Okay, I didn't have to make a point. That is not a drone. Okay, a drone is an unmanned aircraft.
That's true.
If you are flying it, that is not a drone.
That's true.
I'm not saying it isn't cool as hell. I'm just saying that does not qualify as a drone.
You're correct. In essence, it's not really a drone. In essence, it's a flying vehicle that with a person in it. That is true. All right, but that's where let's be honest. That's the gold standard.
Yeah, I mean, hey, flying cars would be cool as hell. I don't know how they would make it work for a flying semi, though.
Yeah,
that's probably not a good idea.
The amount of weight that those things can carry is going to be quite limited, but your ability to go from point A to point B rapidly now is increased dramatically.
Yeah, but I mean, then we have to get pilot's licenses instead of CDLs. That just sounds like it's more of a pain in the ass than it's worth. I'm sorry, I've sidetracked the fuck out of this.
Well, yeah, no. How was the guy controlling the drone from inside? Was it set up like a airplane, or did he actually have a fucking control, like remote control thing in his hand?
It's more of a he's doing it with what looks like a drone device or a remote control kind of device while he's sitting in the plane.
That's fucking weird. Like, yeah, that's like a hybrid. I don't know. Like, would I trust myself to build something like that and then fucking actually get in the fucker? How high up does he go?
He didn't go up.
More the point. Let's pretend that the guy only weighs 100 pounds. So, how much firepower and ammunition do you think now mount a drone? Just.
No, I mean, there's quite a bit of. You could make a case that you could do a lot. The problem with the people who have mounted like guns to these things has been the recoil, because as soon as they fire off the first round, the recoil tends to knock it completely out of the air.
Agreed.
Well, yeah.
So instead of doing that, you need something to recoil it, like a rocket.
Well, not necessarily. You would just need to build a special cradle. That way the cradle itself can cushion the blowback.
Yeah, but that adds weight.
It does, but I mean, you know, aluminum is fairly light.
Aluminum isn't very springy, though. You would still need some kind of springing capability, which adds more weight to it.
Well, no, what I'm talking about is like 2 aluminum side rails, and for the sake of it, we'll just, say a bungee cord of some kind. All right, and that's basically what's cradling the gun, and then every time it fires, it goes back against the bungee cords, and it spreads out along, and it'll spread that recoil out along the two aluminum side rails. So you're not really adding a lot of weight, but again, even if you got it mounted with that bungee cord, it's going to throw your aim off. So not a perfect system, but it could be compensated. That's all I'm saying.
Accuracy that becomes the loss. It becomes the trade-off. Yes, you're correct. Exactly. All right. I mean, you can do certain things, but for it to be able to sustain that and then accurately reload it and fire again, it becomes a problem.
Meme says in the chat, no bump stocks on drones.
I was about to say.
Bump stocking is a style of shooting. I'm sorry to so many people not knowing this. Oh shit.
Yeah, I can create the same effect of a bump stock with my belt loop and my finger.
Oh, fuck yeah.
You can do it with a freaking motor that's just stuck on the trigger.
Well, no, you could literally bump. Like I said, bump stocking is a style of shooting. Just hook your thumb through your belt loop and fucking you can make that son of a bitch go, and it's just as inaccurate as if it has a fucking shoulder-mounted bump stock.
And besides, if you're really planning to do something dastardly with a drone, you're not going to use a gun. It's going to go in there with the box, and the box is up. And the box is either going to go boom or it's going to go.
You know what? I feel like we should stop this because we're all about to get on a list.
You're acting like I'm already not on a list.
That's a good fucking point.
Wait, you are?
Oh, okay. So a few years back, they were doing the census, right? I went to get a job to do the census because, well, I had no fucking job at the time. And I got a letter back saying one of two things. Either I never signed up for selective services, which is bullshit because I did, or I'm on a list that precludes me from working for the Census Bureau. And I'm like, oh, well, that's intriguing.
What'd you do? Buy Catcher in the Rye?
I don't know, dude. I'm a libertarian. I just assume they put me on a fucking list.
Yeah.
So you never checked?
They don't
There's
have
really
to tell
no way
you.
to check.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go to your, to your local government office and be like, "Hi, this is my name. What fucking list am I on?" But they don't actually have to tell you shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you can file like a lawsuit under the Freedom of Information Act, but you're actually gonna have to pay for that. So I mean, it's how much do you care? Like if I can still buy guns, I don't really give a fuck if I can't be on the Census Bureau.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. And I can still buy a gun, so I'm not on a list that's that bad.
Wow, the sun. This is the first time I've seen the sun in 4 fucking days. It's beautiful. At this point, I thought it was just a legend.
You're about ready to sacrifice somebody to bring the sun back.
Oh yeah, no, like I was thinking about going and fucking rekindling the fires. Oh fucking hell.
Okay, Mando, what's your next story? I think we beat the drone thing to death.
All right, let me take a look in Discord. Politics. Democrats outline priorities when they take Congress. Okay. This sounds like a nightmare. How can people support this crap? Democrats announced that they will fight to protect illegals, pass gun control, investigate Kavanaugh, and launch several Russia probes when they they take Congress in November. That's right, MC. When they take it, because they're going to.
They're not going to take it.
Well, they're not going to take the Senate. That's a foregone conclusion. There's no way they're losing seats in the Senate. They're losing at least 3. I think that they could lose up to 6, to be honest. So I'll split the difference and say that's 4. It looks like 4 are going right now.
Yeah, no, I know they ain't going to win in Arizona.
No.
Fuck, man. The Democrat running in Arizona is inviting witches to go to places. Look, I'm okay with a certain
which of the
level.
houses have more power, like in Congress? So which of the 2 houses have more power?
Neither
the Senate
one
or the representatives.
It depends on how you're looking at it, honestly. Okay, first of all, that's been broken up in part of power as well. When it comes to approving, for example, the picks for the cabinet positions and for the judges, all right, that president has, then that's totally left up to the Senate. The Senate is also the part of the legislature that ratifies treaties. However, all spending bills must begin in the House. The House is the first house. Everything starts in the House when it comes to spending. All right, so all the budgetary stuff technically, all right, resides in the House, although both the Senate and the House have to approve, all right, or have to make an approval for it. All right, now they have a process, which they do between the House and obviously the Senate, where one writes the bill, it goes forward. In the case of a spending bill, the House writes the bill, sends it forward, all right, while it's going through the House, and once it's approved, at that point, a similar bill will be approved in the Senate, all right, and then they will have a committee that meets together to come out with the final version that both the Senate and the House All right, both agree to the exact wording of the bill before it goes in front of the president for signature. Okay, so when it comes to the amount of power, in many ways, the Senate in the United States, at any rate, they have more power, but not necessarily over the purse strings. The purse strings are major power for the purse string resides in the House of Representatives.
Oh, the simple fact is, they can run off all this crazy shit right now because they know that even if they win a majority, it doesn't matter. They're not going to be able to do it because Donald Trump is going to veto the shit out of anything that they send, and they're not going to have enough votes to be able to overrule him. So they can say, oh, well, we're going to do all this bullshit, and then when it gets shut down, they can say, oh, well, he just doesn't want to work with us, and that's why this happened.
Usually when it comes to spending, both parties tend to vote on with each other. Usually they just say, no, yeah, I agree with them. Let's just pass this.
Yeah, but not necessarily. I mean, there are limits to that. So if the Democrats are able to take the House, then they will basically delay, if not stop, all of Trump's initiatives that come down to spending. Mm-hmm. For example, if the Democrats take the House, at least for the next 2 years, there won't be a wall because they will not fund it.
Right.
So when you're looking at things now in the House, right now it looks 50-50 chance that the Democrats are going to take the House. We'll see. They have to flip 23 seats, and they're close to it, if not over it in the polls. However, the next question comes down to is how much do you trust the polls? How accurate are the polls going to be on a local level? Politics in midterms elections, there's a lot more things that end up being what we call local politics involved. Okay, so we'll just have to wait and see how it all plays out. It could be that there is a red wave. It could be that there is a blue wave. We don't know, but the blue wave is not going to go through the Senate. The Senate, from what I can see in the Senate right now, that this Kavanaugh hearing has irritated people to such a degree that they want nothing to do with the Democrats in the Senate.
Yeah, no, and looking at at least local politics in my area, with all this shit going on in Portland, I would not be surprised to see a few seats shift in Oregon, at least in the Oregon state politics, and then maybe even our representatives or our senator that's up for re-election, because this shit is getting out of hand over here.
Well,
so
yeah,
then it all depends on whether or not people want to put up with it anymore, right?
Hey guys, I just got a phone call. I got to dip out for a little while. Thanks for letting me come on. I'll try to come back later if I can.
All right, yeah, we're probably going about another 20 minutes. So, yeah, take it easy, man.
Take it easy, yes. Bye.
I don't know what the political landscape's looking like out in Arizona or New Mexico or anything, but here in Oregon, with all these protests and these Antifa fucking riots, it can go one of two ways. Either that helps the Democrats and the majority of Oregonians are actually on the side of Antifa, which I doubt, or some of these guys are going to get voted out, and the governor's up for re-election. I really hope she loses.
I think it's a freaking given. I've given up on Oregon. I've given up on all you guys on the West Coast. If it touches the water, you might as well surrender it.
But I really can't, mate. You're right.
Here in Arizona, though, the Senate is the Democrat running against the Republican in the Senate for Flake seat. All right, the Republican has like a seven point margin right now, so and that's past the margin of error. So anybody who says it was close, and this was a month and a half ago, they said that the Democrat had that margin. All right, that's how much the actual shift has happened. All right, so all the momentum is in for the Republicans, at least from a Senate perspective. what nobody knows and what nobody can factor in at this point is whether or not that's going to carry over to the House, because each race it tends to be individual. As both sides try to make this a referendum on Trump, though, I don't know how all that's going to play out. It will be interesting to see how it plays out. Now, they're making, in many ways, people are looking at Trump's recent thing where he says if we lose the House, if the Republicans lose the House, you can't blame him, which is true. They can't. All right, but at the same time, the Democrats are saying that they're cautiously optimistic. All right, they're not celebrating like they were. Go ahead, Seth.
Oh no, his cell phone went off and he's on his phone. That's why you can end up hearing it. Yeah.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, go ahead and continue.
I was getting a text message. My bad.
So I just don't think that I don't think it's as rosy in the House even for the Democrats as they thought they were. As everyone said it was. I do think that they may pick up seats, but it looks at this point as if I actually had you put a gun to my head that you had to make a choice, or else I shoot your ass. I would say that I think the Republicans are going to hold on to the House as well. I think it'll be with a tighter margin, but I think they're going to hold on to it. But that's without, knowing how things are going to play out. Another thing that's becoming more and more in the news, and I know a lot of Democrats thought that this was going to help them, is this big frickin', immigration march against the country. And I'm telling you now that they're tone deaf. They think that that's going to be a negative on Republicans. It's going to be a positive. It was one of the stupidest frickin' surprise, October surprises that the Democrats could bring. And unlike many people, I don't think that this is a homegrown thing. I don't think it's just, these people are just trying to come to the United States. I think the Democrats encouraged this thing. They encouraged this march to take place at this point because they thought it's the October surprise that they actually planned for to drive them over the top. And what's happening is their support amongst the Latino population isn't what they thought it was. It's not nearly as strong, and these kind of actions aren't helping them in that regard. It's actually hurting.
All right, then what's the current, say, status or poll statistics, whatever you want to call it, like the numbers in regards to their support in Latinos, with the Latinos?
I think it's something like 43%.
That's still a large number.
But
the polls with Hispanic backing, MC.
Yeah, the thing is that it's not the numbers that they were looking for. They were looking for the numbers along the African American numbers from Latinos. They're thinking it was going to be easily over 70, 75%, and it hasn't been. You got to remember how they're looking at the demographic shift. They're looking at it as, well, white people are unimportant. This is what Obama said. The reason that they gave up on the quote unquote working poor in America is they looked at it and said, well, the future is the minorities are going to be the ones that are the power players, and we're just going to concentrate on using identity politics with them. And they basically threw away the working poor white person and said, you're just white trash. We don't give a shit. And they haven't changed. They're doing nothing to change that mentality. And it could have more of an effect than people realize, especially in places like Ohio with Sherrod Brown. Right? Right now, it looks like Sherrod Brown is going to retain his seat, but it's a hell of a lot closer than they expected it to be. At the same time, the Democrats were expecting to easily run away with Bob Menendez because it was in a deep blue state in New Jersey. Bob Menendez is having a fight on his hands. All right. To keep his seat, and it's very possible that that Huggins wins that seat in the Senate. The House, though, remains murky because nobody knows how all these little local political games are going to be affected by the national politics of the time. Whether or not, Trump's approval or lack of approval within a specific district, how solid that is or weak is it. Nobody really knows. The idea, though, that you're going to take a look at a national poll and say, well, nationally, Republicans are a bit behind. Well, that might be national, but that doesn't tell you what's going on locally. And the other problem, of course, is the local polls were as horribly off in this last election as the national polls were. They were, and people forget this. So no, you don't know. All right, do I trust the polls? The question. How much do I trust the polls? I think it was laughable that they thought that Bento had a chance against Cruz in Texas in the governor's situation. Now the poll is showing a 9-point lead for Cruz. All right, and they're still saying, well, he's got $38 million this month. He can pull it out. I don't think so. Okay, not. That's why I'm saying the Senate, they're going to lose seats in the Senate. The Democrats are going to lose seats in the Senate. I see nothing. No, I don't see a flip of a Republican seat going to a Democrat. I think Democrats are in trouble across the board. But I thought that at the very beginning, simply because the fact that there was far more. There was for every Republican seat in the Senate, the Democrats had to basically protect two, and that's just the numbers are working against you there, right? House, there's 40 Republican seats that are up for election simply because there's 40 Republicans retiring out of the House. All right, so that puts a lot more seats in play in that regard.
Well, I'm looking at my voters pamphlet here, and for governor here in Oregon, we got Nick Chin, the Libertarian, running. We got Kate Brown, who's a fucking cunt, and I hate her. We have Newt Bueller. He's the Republican running. He's a physician and a state representative already. He went to Oregon State University and got his MD from Johns Hopkins. And then we got Patrick Starnes, who's an independent running. So your advice would be, don't vote for Nick, but vote for this Newt guy, the Republican, and try and get Kate Brown out, would be your advice on that, huh?
Yeah. You have a chance of getting rid of the Democrat. You have no chance if you frickin' vote for the Libertarian.
Guys, in regards to all this, despite what we're seeing, exactly, and please just not exactly, I understand that the economy is doing well, but besides that, what else has been done to improve the situation? What are the other positives besides the economics?
In what regard? What specifically are you thinking on?
Specifically, immigration, politically. I mean, and in regards to law as well. Did we see the political criminals going to jail? Did we see the average Antifa?
If we take a look at
in prison,
here's something you need to remember. Right? The mainstream media is hardcore leftist. Now,
of course,
the thing about that is, from the standpoint of law and order, what it means is that you never have to worry about the conservative, all right, becoming corrupt and you not finding out about it, because the left-wing press will immediately jump on it. Any whiff of corruption, they're on it like stink on shit. Okay, so you can trust them to out, all right, corruption with the Republican. Unfortunately, you also have to be careful about how you're reading that, because they'll claim corruption when there is none. Right, so you kind of have to learn how to look at the press and read the press clippings and understand that. But what it does do is it does give you a very good, simple opportunity of being able to go, okay, when the Republican becomes corrupt or the conservative becomes corrupt, it's easy to see. Okay,
I'm not talking about that.
What? So
at
what
least
are you referring to?
Republicans. I understand that Republicans, they are not being exactly corrupt to the extent of the Democrats. Okay, I get that. The only time I've seen any kind of actual criminals or can be considered some sort of criminal was the woman over in, I think, Puerto Rico the mayor.
Okay.
Yeah, she was caught with all that shit, supposedly that she wasn't giving her people any the food that was being given over.
Right.
But besides that, I haven't seen much else. And like I said earlier, the Pike Lot idiot, he just got scot-free. Like we just discussed, the Antifa idiots, they're being let go. out free. And as far as I can tell, we're not seeing the wall at all being built. And we can say, well, it's the Democrats at the same time. As much as you might not like this meme, so might not like to hear it, what we could do, or at least we could say, hey, Trump, we're going to back you up on this. Use your executive power to build the wall without Congress.
He needs Congress. Congress has to fund the wall, and that's where there's no more.
Hold on.
You need funding,
guys. Listen, hear me out, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Trump is playing with his hands tied behind his back. Previous presidents were complete assholes and complete shit. Got away with the executive orders. Yes, they went back and forth getting rid of the executive orders, yet they still did it regardless. Why shouldn't he be allowed to do the right thing?
Well, he's not going to be, because he won't be allowed to sit up there and do it. You got to remember, he's not just fighting the Democrats in Congress. He's also fighting the court orders that are and so forth that are immediately brought in. One of the problems with the court is this: they get to decide how fast they bring something up. As soon as there's an executive order by Trump, if you notice, all right, it immediately goes through their court systems and it's immediately adjudicated. All right, it's because so that they can put a stop to it. With Obama, it's like, well, come back in a couple months later or 6 months later, or we're going to drag this out again and again and again because of the lack of corruption within the judiciary, right? Or within certain aspects of the judiciary, right? So from that perspective, you run into a different situation, all right? In more ways, Trump is more hamstrung. Now, Trump could literally say, okay, I'm declaring this a national emergency. I'm ordering the military right now to on the border and fund the wall. All right.
Well, that's one. I did ask you that question on a previous stream, MC. Why doesn't he just use the Army Corps of Engineers to build the wall? Then he has the funding in the military budget already.
I think you addressed that too, right, MC?
Yeah, yes and no, he can do it. He can't do it without declaring a national emergency. You got to understand that. He can't just do it on his own. If he declares it a national emergency and a part of the national security, then yes, he could start it. But like I said, the first thing that would happen is the courts would then get involved. All right, the Ninth Circuit would do whatever it could immediately to try and stop it.
Yeah, and that's usually where they throw these lawsuits or these cease and desist orders or whatever the fuck they're called into is the Ninth. They don't go to any other circuit court really.
No, that's generally it is their Ninth is their favorite court. That is true.
So he's playing with his hands tied regardless.
Right.
Right.
But now, like I said, unless he's willing to declare a national emergency, a state of emergency. Now he could. The thing is that the Democrats are not realizing is he could literally get away with it, if you keep pushing these frickin' 4,000, 5,000 people at the border trying to get across. He can then sit up there and use that as an excuse, and it's a legitimate excuse. I'm stopping an invasion.
And he should. He should use it here and now.
Well, it's not immediate here and now because it's still in, Guatemala right now. But if it comes up through Mexico and they're following it through Mexico, then he could do it. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, why couldn't you do it now with the arms running across the border?
How do you say it's a state of emergency when you've got so much time left to do it? You
have MS-13 flooding across the border. You have, if you want to pull the drug war card, you have
MS-13 and drug. There is no such thing as a drug war when it comes to the military. That is strictly a freaking law enforcement issue.
Okay, fair enough.
So posse comitatus. This is why I was saying we need to redress posse comitatus in one of my streams. We need to relook at what they're able to do. Now, for something like drugs, I would still say no. Posse comitatus is still in effect, right? For something that when you talk about border security, however, that's something different. I do think that we need to open up border security back to the military where it belongs.
Well, I also like the idea of just letting private people buy the land along the border and build their own walls.
that has nothing. National
Nice
security
idea,
is
but it
just
won't
that.
happen.
It's
You
national.
know,
All right,
Because
you would still run into the same problem. Yeah, they could build up a wall, or they could tear their wall down. Right? There's nothing to stop liberals from buying that land and then leaving it wide open to the border, right?
that's true.
fair enough. Yeah, true. I don't necessarily see a bunch of liberals wanting to live along the southern border, but
they wouldn't have
They'll
to
still buy it to get their way.
buy it and not develop it, right? At which
Yeah,
point
true.
stuff gets seized by the government.
I don't know. Jensen, you haven't talked for a while, and your country is dealing with the immigration crisis right now in real time, and it's kind of rotting England from the inside out. What would your advice be to America? Build a fucking wall? Use landmines like Anti-Jack in the chat once? Why not?
Well, if we're discussing the wall, first of all, yes, build the wall. 20-meter gap with landmines, and you have flamethrowers mounted in the pylons on the wall just to make sure you can clear up.
I mean, hell, if you have to shoot them to get the message through, shoot them. Let them shoot at these people. They'll only acknowledge force. Literally, that's all they acknowledge is force. If you let them have their way, they're gonna say, "Oh, these are just little pussies. We can push them around."
You asked, Mad. I'm sorry, mate, but that is what I would do to put up the defences. And based on England, I would actually put mines that are deactivatable, if absolutely necessary, in the Channel Tunnel, and sea mines in the English Channel itself. We have the right to protect ourselves. For Christ's sakes, use it.
Fair enough. And on that point, any other stories you guys want to talk about? I'm good to keep going, or we've hit the 2-hour mark. We can wrap it up.
Oh, I got one. Did you hear about the dude that black kid that got hit with a hate crime for beating up an old Jewish guy with a stick?
No. And why was he beating up an old guy with a fucking stick? The fuck?
I don't know, but this black kid got hit with a hate crime, straight up beating an old Jewish dude. He got out of jail 15 minutes before that for shoplifting. I think.
Nazi?
Okay.
I don't know.
No, wait a minute. This kid fucking steals some bubble gum or some shit, gets caught, gets out of jail, goes, you know what I'm going to do? This is a great idea. There's a stick right here on the ground. Oh, look, an old Jewish guy. Stick. Jewish guy. Okay. Bam. What the fuck? What is going on with people these days? Are they just not being raised anymore?
Raised. This has nothing to do with that. You watch the video of that guy. Basically, it's just this guy walking across the street. All right, and he starts to walk across the street, and he sees this guy coming at him, and he obviously said something to him because the other guy starts running for his life, and this guy starts chasing after him with the stick.
Holy shit!
I mean, he was just literally just walking across the street, just like in the suit, carrying his little briefcase. And all of a sudden, he looks up at that guy, and that guy sits up there. It looks like he said something to him. And then the guy says, well, holy shit, this guy's coming to beat me with a stick, and runs for his life.
So did he get arrested again?
Well, they chased him down. I think that they caught him. I think this is the same guy that you were talking about. All right. But it's insane. It's literally insane.
I think they need to bring back the whip.
I'm not opposed to caning for some crimes. I'm really not.
Wait. So this kid beats up somebody with a stick, and your reaction is, okay, now you get the stick, you fucker.
An eye for an eye, Matt. An eye for an eye.
It's better than putting them in jail where they can talk and compare notes with really hardcore criminals on how to do it right.
Yeah, it seems like everybody's losing their motherfucking mind nowadays. And especially with the story you just posted. Ukrainian crisis. There's an explosion, 18 people killed, an armed attack on Crimean College. Tell us a little bit about that, MC.
Here, I'll just read it. From Moscow, from Reuters. At least 19 people were killed and dozens injured at a college in the Black Sea region of Crimea on Wednesday, when a student went through the building shooting at fellow pupils before killing himself, Russian law enforcement officials say. 18-year-old Vladislav Roslanov, I know I'll butcher your name, I apologize. All right. Turned up at college in the city of Kerch on Wednesday afternoon carrying a firearm, and then he began shooting, investigators said. His body was later found in the college with what they said was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. There's no immediate clues as to his motive in mounting such an attack, which recalls similar shooting sprees carried out by students in the United States. So basically, everyone's watching how we do it. Russia annexed the Crimea in 2014 from the Ukraine, prompting international condemnation and Western sanctions. But since then, there has been no major outbreaks of violence on the peninsula. All right, but one thing to note is they're still fighting in the region. Okay, they still snipe at one another. Many of the victims Wednesday's attacks were teenage students who suffered from shrapnel and bullet wounds. Pupils and staff described scenes of mayhem as panicked pupils tried to flee the building. They said the attack had started with an explosion followed by more blasts and a hail of gunfire. Russian President Vladimir Putin, at a meeting in the southern Russian resort of Sochi, right, with his Egyptian counterpart, declared a moment of silence for the victims. This is clearly a crime. The motives will be carefully investigated. The director of the school, Olga Grebanovkova, I cannot pronounce her name, I apologize, described the scene that she encountered when she entered the school building after the attack. There are bodies everywhere. Children's bodies are everywhere. It was a real act of terror. They burst in 5 or 10 minutes after I left. They blew up everything in the hall. Glass was flying, she told the Crimea media outlets. Then they ran about throwing some kinds of explosives around. Then they ran around the second floor with guns and opened office doors and killed anyone they could find. Now, so this is either a single individual, but it certainly sounds like what they're saying is that this was multiple individuals carrying out this attack. Soon after the attack, the Russian officials said they were investigating the possibility that it was terrorism. Troops with APCs, armored personnel carriers, were sent to the scene. Local parents were told to collect their children. God, what a way to say it. To collect their children at city schools and kindergartens for the safety.
Oh, wow. Okay, so in the chat, Anti-Jack says, America needs to take their role as world leader more seriously. Well, I mean, we are the world's leader in school shootings. Maybe Russia might start to catch up at this point, but no, I'm sorry. Poor taste of a joke. But, I mean, at least it wasn't here is all I could think. And I know that's a horrible way to think, but God damn it, we have enough calls for gun control. Thank God this didn't happen here.
All right, well, MC, you said it was possible. It's a probability it was more than one person. I wouldn't doubt it since a bunch of dumbass college students, or at least the age of college students, decided, hey, we're going to go and kill whatever the hell title Putin has.
Well, they have a different view of college than we do here in the United States. For example, Anastasia Jensen, a 15-year-old college student, right, said she was on the toilet on the ground floor of the building with some friends when she heard the sound of an explosion. Officials said that an explosive device had gone off in the school's cafeteria during the attack and that a second device had been found among Roslav's belongings and had been defused. I came out and there was dust and smoke and I couldn't understand. I had been deafened. Everyone started running around. I did not know what to do. Then they told us to leave the building through the gymnasium. Everybody ran there. I saw a girl lying. There was a child who had to be helped to walk because she could not move on her own. The wall was covered in blood. Then everyone started to climb over the fence, and I could still hear explosions. Everyone was scared. people were crying. Sergey, 15, told Reuters he ran to another building, but he said he could not hear. He could hear more explosions going off every few seconds. He was told to take cover after the attack was over. He was taken to a hospital in an ambulance. When I arrived at the hospital, the scene was awful. They were bringing in people all over, covered in blood, with arms missing and some legs missing.
Sounds like these people are doing a better job than the shooters in America. I'm impressed.
Well, they even had explosives, it sounds like.
Well, and they knew how to use them. They could actually detonate them instead of, oh, we found the device, but it didn't go off.
Well, so do you think it is terrorism then at this point?
Oh, yeah, I'm positive it's terrorism.
More than likely.
Agreed.
What terrorist group? Do you think maybe this has to do with the annexation of the Crimea, and maybe this is a Ukrainian group or something?
I would suspect that at this point in time, I would suspect that it's a Ukrainian group. But we'll have to wait for the investigation. It could be a Muslim group. It could be. You still got deals with Chechnya and some of the other problems.
At the same time, do remember that some of the people who were in Crimea, I know some of them do have Ukraine, like still have some pride of being Ukrainians. They still have support for it. So they're probably, like you said, pissed off and want to send a message.
Ooh, rat. I can't believe you did this in Discord. You should put a joke in there. Says, my heart here's a meme. My heart gets heavy thinking about the giant trash island in the ocean. And the response, yeah, England is a joke. Like, damn, rat. You're getting pretty ballsy lately.
Oh, you're going to put up with that shit, Jensen?
Your response,
How's
Jensen?
Norway doing? I mean, just... I'm sorry. Oh, that's right. Norway's such an absolutely perfect place. That's right. Safest place in the world. My mistake.
Yeah, unless you're at a political camp. Anyway, moving on.
Ace of Skulls has put an interesting thing in the chat, or in Discord anyway. White House is planning on tackling cannabis reform after the midterm elections. Dana Rohrabacher, a Republican from California, tells Fox Business that the Trump administration has made a solid commitment to fixing marijuana legislation. I have been talking to people inside the White House who know and inside the president's tutorage. I have talked with them at length, and I have been reassured that the president intends on keeping his campaign promise. Rohrabacher says the president has spoken in support of legalization of medical marijuana on a federal level and is leaving the question of recreational marijuana up to the states. This would be interesting to see if he could try to push some kind of legislation through.
Yeah, and that has to rustle the Keebler-Elf's feathers there a little bit. Jeff Sessions is old school anti-marijuana.
Why would it bother Jeff Sessions?
Have you seen his statements when it comes to marijuana legalization in the States?
I've seen his statements as the Attorney General's, yes. Because at this point in time, it's illegal.
I don't know. He tends to be very anti-marijuana, in my opinion. But if they can shove this through the legislature, that would be great. That's exactly the route you said that you wanted it legalized, not state by state.
Because it's not legal in this state unless if it's still illegal federally. You can argue about it all they want, all right. But if you can't get it passed through the federal government to say, look, this is not something the federal government should be involved in, and then it's still illegal across the nation, including, by the way, on any kind of Indian reservation that's out there.
Well, no, and I was going to say this, but I couldn't remember if I had the right quote and the right person. But Ace of Skulls says Jeff Sessions equated marijuana smokers to heroin users, and that's what I thought I remembered as well.
He did, but he's talking as the district attorney of the United States. Okay, you got to understand his role when he's saying things like that. He's not going to sit there and go back and say that a law passed by Congress he's not going to enforce.
I don't know. I still don't like his stance on it. And also in the chat, Joshua says, I still think Jeff Sessions is on his way out of the administration. MC would disagree with you on that one.
It's kabuki theater, guys. This whole supposed rift between Jeff Sessions and Trump. If Trump wanted him gone, Trump would have gotten rid of him a long time. It's kabuki theater. Jeff Sessions is doing everything that the president wants him to do.
Well, marijuana is hardly the most important issue, so I don't think his attention should be there. Trump's attention.
Oh no, actually, I do. I think this is a good strategy by Trump. I really do.
How?
If he announces, in fact, he should announce that he's going to push for it after the midterms, assuming that the Congress remains in Republican hands. This is a winning issue for him. Are you kidding me?
How
to
is
sit
it
up there and
winning?
say that medical marijuana is going to be legalized across the United States, and that he's committed to making sure that it happens. All right, as long as there's a Republican Congress. Are you kidding me? This would be a massive benefit.
How would it be a benefit?
Because the vast majority of the United States wants medical marijuana, and it takes it away as an issue that the Democrats can run on right then and there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bread and circuses here. Just a little point, that if you provide the people the drugs, you'll A, get their votes, and B, pacify them. That is all it is.
Yeah, I think a lot of them, many of them are still leftists. They're not going to give Trump their vote. Even if he does get this through, they're still not. They're still going to say, fuck you.
They might not go to the polls, though. If they don't think, if it doesn't animate them, this is one more way of undercutting this quote unquote, all this force that the Democrats keep saying, all the quote unquote energy, and just cutting the energy right out from under them.
So we make them docile with more weed.
Yeah. Well.
So what, dude? Recreational marijuana being legal in Oregon has grown the Oregon revenue by a lot.
I'll be honest with you. That part doesn't bother me at all one way or the other. The issue that I've always had a problem with is that it's been overreached by the federal government and it needs to be cut back now. This at least is one aspect where you are literally reducing the size and scope of federal power.
Well, I can at least agree with you on that. As soon as it's done with, we could just move past it. I can see that as a positive.
Are you anti-marijuana legalization, Jacob?
No, I just don't care about it.
Yeah, but it's been an issue that the Democrats have stood fast on for decades, and he would be removing that issue from the table. And that's a good thing, because what else are the Democrats going to really preach about? What else do they have?
They've been preaching about diversity. They've been preaching about letting in the so-called survivors. So
yeah, they're going to preach about all the issues they're losing on. which I think was MC's point.
Okay, on the debate, yes, but they're still getting those people in. They're still having a lot of them in, and if I remember correctly, a lot of the last caravan were allowed to apply for asylum.
The one bad thing that it does from MADDS' point of view, it basically kills, for all intents and purposes. By him pushing that, it basically kills any chance libertarians have of doing it.
Well, libertarians have other issues that we talk about. We're not just fucking Republicans.
You're fractured on those other issues, though, aren't you?
Fair enough. Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, the Libertarian Party is kind of split in half. Yeah. I'm with the right libertarians, and then we got the leftitarians, which are the enemy. They're the fucking. They should just go to the Green Party. That's where they belong. But it seems like we're kind of petering out here, so I think we're gonna wrap it up right here. This has been the Redeye stream number 189. We talked a little bit about Portland and then a couple other issues. Thank you. Good night. Good luck, and fuck France.